everybody. We are still in Module 6. Remember last time, Module 6 was all about the protein synthesis. And y'all put the sentences together, remember? Yes.
Yes, that was very.
Yeah. So we're going to continue that with the second half of 6 with some more difficult material called cellular reproduction. Although I will tell you it's much more accessible. It's not a lot of chemical stuff going on. It's more than, it's just following the steps.
That was the fun part.
More.
Hello, recording.
I am now recording, yes. We are recording this month.
Hi, Lauren. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Mom.
I do.
Subscribe to.
Who are we saying hi to?
Hi, the government.
To Lauren. I forgot to grade the quizzes. I will have those for you. You know, listen, we don't have class next week because we're on Thanksgiving break. Don't come next week. But when you come in 2 weeks, there will be a quiz over Module 6.
So what if I just
That's
don't
protein
come in 2
synthesis
weeks?
and cellular reproduction.
Lauren,
If
you're
you don't
late.
come in 2 weeks, you'll still have to take the quiz. Okay.
What
so
if
not,
I just never come back?
I almost wasn't.
Oh, I'll
Then
miss
you
you,
fail
bud.
school.
Yeah. I don't know if your folks will be happy about that. All right, so turn to your books to 6B, Lab 12. What page are we on?
55.
55. Very good. All right. Here we go. Humans have 46 chromosomes in the nuclei of each living cell in your body. As long as your cell is alive, it has the total copy of all of your DNA. So we have 23 pair of chromosomes. They're called homologous chromosomes because what they are, they're the same. For instance, let's say we have chromosome number 3. There's 23, so let's say chromosome number 3. I can't find my marker. One of them would be from your mom, and one of them would be from your dad. And on chromosome 3, it would code in certain places for certain traits, and whichever one of those traits was dominant would be what shows in you. All right, I'm loath to use eye color because eye color is actually coded for in 3 separate areas. 2 on one gene and 1 on a whole nother gene. That's why you can see somebody who's got really, really dark brown eyes and someone who has light brown eyes. They're both brown eyes, but there are these different grades of them. So it's hard to do that one. So that's why I did last time, you know, your Giga-Maggie's thumb. That happened, that's a dominant trait, one gene that does that. If you can't do that, then you don't have the dominant gene that gives you that. So you can only do that. So yeah. Yes, Josh.
No.
Serious question. So you know how someone has, if they have 24, right? 24 chromosomes,
Mhm.
and they have Down syndrome.
It depends. Well,
Right.
if it's number 23, at number 21, if they have an extra chromosome number 21 pair,
Mhm.
that's called Down syndrome. Yes.
Okay, what if they have one less chromosome?
That's also Down syndrome.
Is that up syndrome?
No. So here's the thing.
No,
here's
it's
the thing.
dead syndrome.
I'm
No,
pretty-
seriously.
Isn't it? Wait. So Miss Katz, this is what my mom told me. She said the one extra 21 or 22nd, 21st. Sorry.
So 21st. Yeah.
Yeah, one extra 21st chromosome would result in Down syndrome. But she also said any missing chromosome that wasn't like extremely important could result in Down syndrome as well.
Well, it's not Down syndrome. It's something else. It's called something else. Like we have one called Creta-Shaw. That means to cry the cat. It sounds like somebody who meows. This kind of thing.
Chromosomes, it's called dead syndrome.
This is true. You need. Okay. We need every gene on every chromosome. So if we're missing one, then that is a genetic problem. And when we get to our genetics module, I will tell you several of the different ones. Progeria is one of them, where the kid gets really old really fast. That's another genetic disease that takes place because of a gene problem,
What's
that
the
kind of thing.
opposite of that again? Where like there's the adults that look like they're babies.
What?
Well, it's a child who looks like an
How's that?
old man. Who looks like they grow. They're little children and they grow old very
Oh,
quickly.
yeah.
But, like,
There's a
what's,
guy
the,
named-
what's the other one that's like?
There's a guy
where
named
it's-
from the house.
I'll have to look that
Yeah,
one up.
because there's a guy named Hezbollah that he's
from
like,
Russia.
He's like 24 and he looks like he's a toddler.
Yeah.
He's little.
He sounds like
Yeah, he's
he sounds like a grown man.
Yeah, he sounds like he's a baby just speaking fluent
Wow,
Russian.
I'll have to
It's
look it up.
really weird.
All right, like I said, y'all, when we get to the genetics module, which is maybe the next one, I don't know for sure. All right, so now what we're going to talk about is that in order to have cellular division, we have to have the chromosomes duplicate so that they can make a copy. So let's think right now about your skin. Okay, have you ever cut your skin? We all cut our skin, yeah?
No.
Notice it heals pretty quick. If it doesn't get infected, let's say you cut your skin outside, you go wash it with soap and water, and it heals up fairly quickly. All right, that's because you have all this growth of new cells, new skin cells. And we're gonna see that cellular reproduction is what we're looking at there for that. We're just gonna make new cells. Yes.
Is it like, never mind.
All right.
Okay,
So the process,
Like
the
biofeedback.
process of cellular division is known as asexual reproduction. In other words, cells are just dividing. All right, and that's happening in your body right now. Skin is reproducing, the mucous membranes in your mouth, things like this. Some of our cells do not reproduce at all. For instance, brain cells. You have all the brain cells you'll ever have. You will have no more. So if you lose your brain cells, they're gone forever. Yes.
What exactly is the rate of how much cells are produced in an average day?
It depends on what cells we're talking about. For instance, red blood cells, I think there's something like 4 million per day made in your body. 4 million red blood cells. And a red blood cell only has a lifespan of about 3 months or maybe 3 days, actually. 3 days, 3 or 4 days. Yeah, and it dies. Then you need more red blood cells.
Is it possible to lose brain cells from like just generally?
Yeah, is it possible to lose brain cells from just general activities?
We're all losing brain cells every single day, millions, every single
What
day.
if someone is saying
Especially
something?
Yes.
being around you, Asher.
What
Do
is-
you
what is-
lose more
If
on the internet and stuff like they say you do? I just wanted
Okay.
to make that
Here's
clear.
what I'll tell you. Human
That's just
beings
the
are losing millions of brain cells every day. I'm much older than y'all, right? That means I've lost more brain
Huh.
cells than y'all have.
We're
But
smarter than you.
I have trillions, and y'all, no, I'm kidding. Y'all all have, we all have trillions of brain cells, so it's okay.
Just
Even
ours
if
are
I lived
uneducated.
to be 120 years old, I'd still have the majority of my brain cells. We have so many, yes.
Well then, like, why isn't like a baby smart?
Why? Well, because the brain cells are there, they just haven't been taught what needs to be known.
Right.
All right, yeah. The same thing goes with heart, like the cells on your heart, the muscular cells in your heart. If you have damage to heart cells, they will never grow back. That's why somebody who's had a heart attack, which is to remove the blood supply from one part of your heart, that's called a myocardial infarction, which is also a heart attack.
My sister started
That
with
when that
baby.
happens, that part of your heart will never grow back again, and that's why there's deficits after that. Yes.
Does forgetting come from, I'm literally forgetting.
Yeah,
this.
you're
Does
very young and you're
forgetting
forgetting.
come from dying brain cells?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, wait,
So
really?
therefore, as you're getting older, and when grandma can't remember stuff, it's because grandma's lost some brain cells. Okay.
Okay,
And
yeah.
remember,
It's okay.
I'm a grandma. Okay. There are ways to
Why can you not remember?
rush
I've already
through.
lost it.
You can kill your brain cells quicker by sniffing glue, smelling gasoline at the gas station, smoking pot,
I like
taking
to
drugs.
smell
All those
glue.
things that alter your brain are killing.
What?
They're all killing blood cells.
What
Yeah,
about
brain
I
cells.
like the smell of
What about
smelling
drinking
gas.
chloroform?
I know, but don't.
What about energy?
Energy drinks, I don't know about that. I don't.
What about smelling a
He
Sharpie?
just lost
Yeah.
a bunch of brain cells.
Yeah. Yeah, stop smelling stuff, man. It kills your brain cells. And you
That's
never
why-
get them back. You never get them back.
Everyone eat lead.
All right, everybody, let's focus. Everybody, shh. I need all your brain cells right now to be looking at the board, okay? We're talking about cellular division, and the process of cellular division is called mitosis. You need to remember that for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Mitosis, okay? So the process of asexual reproduction in eukaryotic cells is called mitosis. It occurs using the chromosomes. It says here what the chromosome is the DNA coiled around and supported by proteins. We looked at that at the end of our lecture last week. And the chromatin or chromatin, if you want to call it that, is what we call the strands. It looks kind of like a bowl of spaghetti. And then what happens when it's time for cellular division, all that kind of organizes into separate chromosomes that end up, remember when I told you if it looks like it's in an X formation, if it looks like an X, that's because it has been duplicated. All right, so when it's duplicated, you know we're fixing to have cellular division. All right, here's my marker right here. So, if we look at the 23 pair of chromosomes, we could look at, say, here's pair 1, there's 1, and then 2 might be a little different looking, 1 might be really long, okay? So, in your body, so we're looking at 23 here, to have 23 different ones. But since we have double that, we get 1 from mom, 1 from dad, and there's a little gene right there that codes for whatever. Here, 1 from mom, 1 from dad,
So there's 46.
etc. Yes, 46 pair. 23 individual ones. So this would be pair number 1, 2, 3. And these are single. Now when it comes time for cell division, this guy right here will duplicate the DNA and it'll look like an X.
That's cool.
I just drew that little line on there to show you where that gene is, okay? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we, and they often show chromosomes in that X shape, because typically when we're talking about chromosomes, we're talking about how they clump up in order for cell division to take place. Therefore, they're going to duplicate and be in the X form. Do you see the X right here in this first picture? They've been duplicated, okay? And when they're duplicated, what can happen is they go along the equatorial plane here. They get pulled across one side one way, the other side the other way. I have two new cells now. That's my goal here. I want to take one cell and make two cells.
Yay.
I have what's called the parent cell or the mother cell, and the two cells that come are called daughter cells. Okay, the time interval between cellular reproduction is called interphase. Interphase means no cellular division is taking place. What do y'all have in your book? Do you have one of those weird labeling 1, 2, 3 kind of thing?
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is in the back.
You just have this, then if it's underlined, that means you're supposed to write that word down, okay? So the time interval between cellular reproductions is called interphase. All right, now if the cell decides something, you've just cut yourself, you want to make new skin cells to replace those ones that have been cut, then the cells will say, I gotta make
Wait,
new cells.
Miss Casper,
Yes,
So we have, it says stage of the cell cycle, it says interphase, which has 3 steps, and you're supposed to write those 3 steps.
okay,
And
it's
there's
coming.
mitotic phase,
We're not
which
there
has
yet.
2 steps.
We're
and
getting
then
there.
the phase
We're not
cycle.
there yet.
All right, we're not there yet. I just have things underlined before we get to that,
You step.
okay?
I understand.
Cytokinesis is the process usually following mitosis. It's at the very end. Or meiosis, we'll get to meiosis in a minute. Meiosis is also cell division, but it's cell division in a special case. All right? In which cytoplasm of the cell is divided into 2. So I've got one cell, I'm making 2, and this process of cytokinesis is the last bit to pinch those 2 off to make 2 separate cells. And it happens in this little area right here. So it says contractile ring, creating cleavage furrow to squeeze and some cytoplasm into one cell, some cytoplasm into the other cell. All right, so that was 1, 2, 3 blanks. Did we get all 3 of those blanks?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to see the cell cycle, all right? When they're in mitosis, we have a cycle called prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. We're going to get to that. But when it's not in mitosis, in other words, when it's not in cell division, we have something called the G1 phase. This is all interphase, by the way. G1 phase, S phase, DNA replication, the G2 phase. Okay, so right here it's doing nothing. It's resting, if you will. And then it's fixing to, as we'd say in Texas, right? It's fixing to divide. So here it's going to replicate its DNA. And then get that DNA kind of clumped up into chromosomes and then get itself ready to go through that mitotic division. All right, so the cell cycle, is this it?
Can you tell me
Maybe.
stop losing brain
Stop,
cells?
Oliver. Yeah. Stop losing brain cells. I think where you were talking about, Asher, right here on the thing with the 3 things? Right here, okay. Interphase has 3 steps. Here they are. Can you see those?
Yes.
G1, cell growth checkpoint. We saw that in kind of I called it the rest stage. S, the DNA duplicates. That's fixing to divide stage. G2 is cell growth checkpoint. In other words, it's getting itself, it's really clumping up those chromosomes. It's starting to get those chromosomes prepared to duplicate. So that's our cell cycle. I almost feel like I should make the writing in that black ink instead of white, or can you see it all
I
right?
see it.
Then our mitosis 2 phase would be mitosis and cytokinesis. So mitosis is the actual splitting in 2, cytokinesis is the pinching it off between the 2.
Miss Jessica,
Mm-hmm.
what time is this class in?
Technically it ends at 4.
Usually
I
you
try to
can
let
hear
y'all
the
out about a
4 in the
quarter to
morning.
4. It's because I'd like to get home.
Well, I mean, this is the last class of the day, so you could keep us in here for as long as you want.
I definitely could keep you to 4, but that's what we say till 4. Remember we had so much to do to make those sentences.
Well, yeah, but you can make us stay till however you want, because it's the last class of the day.
Well, I can't. Your parents are going to be here. They're going to turn the lights off. All right, we have our little tables filled in, guys.
I
Good.
didn't see the bottom one.
Somebody call, please.
Here we go. So mitosis is cell division that results in 2 daughter cells having the same number and kind of chromosomes as the parent cell. Okay, so I have a parent cell, mother cell, right here, with a certain amount of DNA in it, right? The 23 pair, right? It's gonna divide into 2 daughter cells, and the daughter cells are identical. Another word for this type of cell division is called cloning. This is cloning. So cloning is going on inside your body right now. You're cloning your skin cells.
I'm a clone.
Yeah, you're cloning your skin cells because they're identical. Okay, they're identical to the mother cell. There's no change taking place. The only time we can have change taking place is if we go through another step called meiosis, when we bring in DNA from another source. All right, but here we just have the DNA from you. It's going to be dividing and making more of you. All right, phases of mitosis. When the cell's not reproducing, it's in interphase. We know that. This has a star by it because I want you to know phase 1 is called prophase. You need to, if this isn't in your book, you need to find a place to write it because this is important.
It is.
Phase 1 is prophase. That's the duplication of the centrioles and DNA, and the centrioles move to form a spindle. We'll watch a video on this in a minute. Give you a little more information. Okay, did y'all write this down?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so if I ask you what happens in prophase, you're going to say the centrioles and DNA move to form a spindle.
Up so.
Yep.
If I remember.
What are centrioles?
We're going to see in just a minute. Those are the. Remember when we made our cookie and there was the centrioles, that little star-looking thing that's poorly understood. Has something to do with cell division. That's all I told
Miss
you.
Casper.
About. Yes.
He can speak Chinese.
No, no, I can't. It's one phrase.
What is it? What are you saying?
It's the John Cena commercials.
Oh my
What
god.
is it?
All right. Phase 2, metaphase. They line up on the equatorial plane. That was they line up in the middle. Okay, the X's. So here we're looking here. They form X's, and here the X's all line up in the middle on the equator or equatorial plane of the cell. We can see all this in the microscope, by the way. 3, anaphase. The duplicates are pulled apart. So half the X goes one way, the other half of the X goes another way, the opposite way. That's called anaphase. And phase 4, telophase. Some people pronounce it telophase. Depends on if you're from Canada. In Texas, we pronounce it telophase, like a telephone. The plasma membrane consists, and the chromosomes are now in a new nucleus. I have a little star there saying you must remember this. And one of the ways to remember is PMAT. PMAT. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase.
Okay.
PMAT. It doesn't remind you what happens in the stage, but it reminds you the state, the stages of the stage.
The stages of the stage.
Stages of the stage. The order, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The order of the stages, or the phases. Stages of the phases. How about that? All right, we have those all 4 written down.
I'm working on it.
How many phases are in mitosis?
7.
4, and it's
Let's do
PMAT.
6,592.
Maybe on some biochemical level, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, in summary, here we go. Interphase, normal operations, even resting, but when I say resting, it's doing whatever the cell's meant to do, right? If it's a pancreas cell, it's making insulin. All right, prophase, duplicate, the centrioles move out. Metaphase, chromosomes line up in the middle. Anaphase, they pull apart. Telophase, they divide into 2 new cells. We can see it here, interphase. But notice in that part of interphase, they're starting to duplicate, right? And in prophase, they're already duplicated. So notice up here in the top picture, looks like a bowl of spaghetti. We move down, they're in their X's now. That means they're duplicated. Then our spindles form. It's like a little rope to pull them across. Metaphase in the middle. And then they're pulled apart in anaphase and telophase. We have two new cells. And the results, when mitosis is complete, an exact replica or duplicate is formed, a clone. Replica is what you're putting in that blank. Duplicate if you like that better. Easy way to remember mitosis order, PMAT. The mother cell, a cell ready to begin reproduction containing duplicated DNA. That means they're in the X form like this. And then 2 daughter cells are formed after mitosis. Good?
No, wait, hold on.
Come on, Josh.
PMAT is all you have to write down.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Okay, so take a look at this, these cells. These cells are from, I'm gonna turn the light off so you can see it a little better. These are plant cells. Can you tell they're plant cells? Notice they're
Yeah, I can 'cause they're square.
They're square, exactly. So we can see they're in various stages. Look at this one. This is real obvious right here, right? What phase is that one to the right on the bottom there?
Dead and dying. Anaphase.
Anaphase, thank you. What's this one? Up here,
That looks like
they're all crowded in the middle.
metaphase.
Metaphase. The other ones are in, like this is duplicating here. That could be just finished maybe, and it's fixing to make 2.
How do you know it looks like that? Is the way.
Because I just drew the picture for you. It just showed you on here. Right there.
Alright.
So you can actually see it with microscope slides. It's pretty cool. So that's just looking at the cells of a plant. These all look like they're in interphase, right? The ones in the middle right there. All right, we're going to watch a little video. We're going to watch a couple of videos. So listen.
The first stage in cell mitosis is prophase. During prophase, lots of things happen. The centrioles duplicate, and a spindle forms between them. That's already shown here. Also, the chromosomes form from the chromatin distributed throughout the nucleus. The chromosomes duplicate,
Bless you.
and they head towards the equatorial plane of the cell. Here's how it happens.
They're in the middle.
Once the chromosomes are on the equatorial plane of the cell is in metaphase. That is followed by anaphase, where the spindle pulls on the chromosomes, separating the duplicates from one another. The last stage is telophase, where the cell actually begins to split into 2 distinct cells, each taking its own chromosomes. Now we have 2 cells, where before there was just 1. Now let's put all of this together. Prophase. Metaphase, anaphase, telophase.
All right, here we go. Here's another one.
Yeah, I love it,
He's Canadian.
Mitosis begins as the long threads of DNA in the nucleus start to coil. Having already replicated, these threads emerge as the double strands we know as chromosomes. Meanwhile, protein fibers grow from the migrating centrioles, forming a latticework of spindles. For reasons scientists don't fully understand, the nuclear membrane suddenly disintegrates. With amazing accuracy, a spindle from each centriole attaches itself to each of the chromosomes. Assisted by the protein fibers, the chromosomes move center stage. In a microscopic tug of war, the spindles pull each chromatid toward opposite poles. Other spindles push against each other in a ratcheting action that stretches the cell. The chromosomes then unwind and the nuclear membranes reform. With mitosis complete, the nuclei and cytoplasm separate, creating 2 new cells in this ongoing cycle that sustains all life.
And remember at the very end, that's called cytokinesis when it pulls apart like that.
It's like a scary movie narrator.
Oh yeah. All right, so a karyotype is what we call a record or a picture of somebody's chromosomes arranged in their homologous pairs. Homologous pairs just mean, like here's pair number one from mom, one from dad. Homologous meaning they have the same genes on it. Okay, it's chromosome number 1, number 2, number 3, etc. They usually do this, they show it during the metaphase time so we can see them duplicated. So in other words, a karyotype typically will show them in X's, but not always. Sometimes they'll show them unduplicated. For instance here, look, they're in an X shape, right? So those are duplicated. Do you understand what it means when I say that? How they're duplicated? Right? They're in a place where they can go through the rest of mitosis. John, do you have a question? No? Okay. All right, so check it out, y'all. Here we go. Here are the 23 pair of chromosomes in humans. All right, so you see they're a little bit different from each other. We've got them all mapped out. In fact, we have the entire human genome mapped out. We know where every gene is on every chromosome for whatever. Now, there's some we don't know. Like, for instance, there might be a genetic disorder that's on a gene somewhere that we haven't figured out yet, but we figured out several. For instance, some cancers are carried on a gene. And so we can go find it if a patient has that particular gene, and there we give them a higher chance of getting that particular cancer. That's kind of interesting right there. All right, so check it out. Look down here, 21. I believe that one right there is the one if there's a third 21st chromosome. That's known as Down syndrome, which we see fairly frequently, right? Then we have 22 right here. Look at 23. The 23rd chromosome is called the sex chromosome. There's an X and a Y. So if the individual has an X and an X, that individual is female. If the individual has an X and a Y, that individual is male. And those are our only two options. XX and XY. What's your point, Dax?
What if they had 2 Ys?
So that's when there are different, like what usually will happen is they'll have an XYY or an XXY, something like that. Very, very rare.
But what happens? Like what?
Sometimes sometimes the person appears to be female, but the person is actually male.
Oh.
That happens, but it's super rare. All right, but for someone to say that there are more than 2 genders, gender's kind of a new word we use now. It's not true. There's a male and female,
Right.
period. That's all there is to it. If there's some weird genetic thing going on with that 23rd chromosome, that person typically doesn't survive.
So a lot of people these days have Down syndrome, and they think they can do
And they think, what?
They think they can do
That's racist.
All right, hey, why are we laughing?
Neurodivergent.
Was this a genuine question?
No.
Okay, Down syndrome means they have an extra chromosome in every
An extra number
single,
21?
an extra number 21,
Okay.
in every single living cell in their body. There's nothing you can do to fix it.
Yeah.
It's done. Yeah.
Can't remove it.
Nope. We'd have to take it out of every single of the trillions of cells in your body.
Oh.
Can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the time.
All right. Diploid cells versus haploid cells. Another important concept you need to know. A diploid cell is a cell with chromosomes that come in their homologous pairs. There's that word, homologous. Homologous just means the same. Okay, so chromosome 1 from your mom and chromosome 1 from your dad, those are homologous. Okay, so diploid cells come in pairs. In other words, I have a pair of each of those chromosomes. It's called diploid. Diploid, it means 2. We call that 2N. 2N, N being number. Okay?
Insulting word.
Haploid cells are a cell that have only one of them. They only have one of them. And the reason they have only one of them is because that's the cell that will be involved in sexual reproduction. You'll get the gene from another cell, okay? Those are the baby-making cells. They're just called N. N. Usually a lowercase, yeah. So HAP, H-A-P, keep that in mind, think of half. It's got half as much, no, not even close. It may be math, however. It has half as much genetic information. So if a cell is a haploid cell, it has half as much information. All right, so the haploid cells that you find in the female body are called eggs. The haploid cell you find in the male body is called sperm. Okay, those are the specialized cells that are haploid. The rest of the cells in your body, diploid. Every single one of them have all the information. Alright, are you an exact replica of your mom?
No.
Yes.
Or your dad?
No.
No. You've got a nice little mixture going on there, right? If mitosis makes a copy, why are you not a copy of your mom or dad?
'Cause there's both
That's
involved.
because, okay, like what? Anyone have your parents' traits? For instance, dad's ears, mom's eyes, grandma's red hair,
What?
this kind of thing. Those are traits that are handed down through the haploid mixture. Okay, so when we bring DNA from mom, DNA from dad, those come together, and we find out which trait happens to be dominant or recessive. Yes.
What about bone marrow babies?
What?
What now? Explain to me what you mean by bone marrow baby.
Like a child who they use bone marrow to impregnate the womb.
Okay, no, they have a new baby, so they have bone marrow for their other baby. That's what you're talking about? So if you have a child who has a bone marrow disease and they need a bone marrow
No,
transplant,
no, like-
people will have a new baby in order to have the bone marrow
No, 'cause
transplant.
I don't know if this is I don't know if this is true or not. I saw this the other day, where they're using bone marrow to create.
You're saying bone marrow instead of like sperm
So
cells
instead
or
of using
something?
sperm cells, they use bone marrow and turn it into a fertilizer for the eggs.
Is that
Huh.
They use their own bone marrow as a fertilizer.
I don't know that technology.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's.
Okay. Here's what bone marrow should be a diploid cell. Should have all the information. You'd have to take half of it out. If it's a stem cell that hasn't decided what it's going to be, it's still diploid.
Some aliens done come.
All right, it's got to have half the information. Okay, there has to be half the information in order to mix it with the other half. All right, mitosis. We have a mother cell that is divided into two identical cells. Meiosis is a mother cell divided into 4 haploid cells. We understand what haploid means, right? It only has half of the genetic information in it.
Cells.
Half of the genetic information in a cell that's going to be used for sexual reproduction. So meiosis, we're going to see the egg and the sperm. The process by which diploid cells form gametes. That's the word we're using. Gamete is a haploid cell. And that gamete has a job to do, and that's reproduction. Gametes are haploid. They only have half of the genetic information in them. They're made ultimately from diploid cells for the purpose of sexual reproduction. This is God's design for putting a lot of diversity in the world, okay? Because we have all sorts of diversity. Think about living things. If you think about a human, but they go all the way down to like an earthworm, right? They all have DNA just like our DNA. And depending on the way they're arranged, the pattern they're arranged is what they're going to look like. Earthworm, human, right? Okay. We're going to see the 23 and the 23 come together to form a new individual. And then you would have half from mom, half from dad, new individual. That's a fertilized egg right there. It's a new person. All right, the zygote results at the end of sexual reproduction when each parent contributes half the DNA necessary for the offspring. Right there, 46 chromosomes, also known as a zygote. So a zygote is a fertilized egg, and it's a new individual.
We also need to write half.
Oh yeah,
And
Right here.
reproduction.
and reproduction?
Yep.
Sorry about that. So zygote is a biological
Oh,
word.
fantastic.
Yes.
What goes this blank right here?
It's
This
just-
is-
Gametes.
The process by which a diploid cell forms.
gametes.
Oh, gamete. Yeah.
That's gametes.
All right. Here's our summary of meiosis. Okay, so remember mitosis is PMAT, right? So prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. So that's, but meiosis 1 has it twice. Then it has prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, and telophase 2. But it's not that simple. All right, the stages change. The stuff we wrote down that prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase do in mitosis are not the same things they do in meiosis, but we do call the stages by the same names. And so we have prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1, prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, telophase 2. From here to here, I start with 1 cell, I end with 4 cells. 4 haploid cells. That's what meiosis is going to do for me. Mitosis is forming 2 diploid cells. Meiosis is forming 4 haploid cells. Do you see the difference there? Yes? I believe that must be a little chart you're filling in, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're really temperamental about what you actually fill in and what you don't fill in. Some stuff you don't fill in at all, and some stuff you always fill in.
I didn't write the book.
Yeah, Oliver.
Yes.
Did you get your genes of like if you're left-handed or right-handed from your parents?
They don't know who's left-handed and right-handed. It's not genetic.
I figured your hand is on one side.
What now?
Is it true that like it's easier, like it's harder for one color of your eyes? Like does one, if 2 parents have different color of the eyes, is there like a
Dominant and
certain
recessive?
thing- Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That a color's always like dominant.
Yeah, brown is always dominant to blue.
Okay, that's what I thought, but.
It doesn't mean brown-eyed parents can't have a blue-eyed child. They can. The bigger question is, can blue-eyed parents have a brown-eyed child? And the answer is yeah. It's really rare though.
What about green for that? What about green?
Yeah, green's in the brown realm.
If
Wait, so
both
does blue
parents have the
dominate
same
green?
gene, are they guaranteed to have, is the child guaranteed to have that same gene or
Are
not?
we talking about eye color?
Like, anything.
Anything? Yes. If the parents have the same gene for a particular trait, the child will definitely 100% have that gene.
What does blue dominate?
I might trim it up.
No. Blue is super recessive.
I'm gonna trim it up.
Blue is recessive to everything.
I'm not sure.
That's why they're saying in 50 years from now there'll be no blue-eyed people left.
Blue eyes.
Okay.
And my dad has green eyes.
Okay. He has a blue-eyed gene. He gave you a
But
blue-eyed
my
gene.
mom has blue eyes.
She has nothing but blue eyes.
So
So,
my dad has blue eyes and my mom has brown eyes, and I was like the only person in my family that has blue eyes.
You're the only one?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah. That's because that must mean that your dad's brown eyes.
My dad.
That must mean he's not your dad. I'm kidding. No.
Wow.
No, what that means is your dad has blue eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a joke. Okay. I have green eyes. I have green eyes, and my husband has blue eyes. I have 5 children. 4 of them are blue-eyed, and only one of them got the green eyes. And it's dominant. Green's dominant. That means I have a blue-eyed. Yes, super dominant.
I have brown inside of my baby.
Okay, yeah, that's because the 3 different genes are changing it. That's why using eye color is a tough one because there's 3 different genes that code for it, okay? That's why it's tough. That's why you gotta go for something that only has 1 gene that codes for it.
Yeah,
Yes.
is there a term for that? Because it's only in certain spots of my eye. Like
Well,
it's
okay,
separate.
it kind of comes up, and I'll probably look this up before we do it. Like, for instance, David Bowie had 1 brown eye and 1 blue eye. That's weird.
Like the David Bowie or the singer David?
The singer, David Bowie.
He's really weird. I hate him.
He has 1 blue eye. He's dead. He's dead, so.
he's like a
I
border
got my mom's
collie.
really weird
Yeah.
thumb.
You made a dead person?
All right, here we go, y'all. Phases of meiosis 1, prophase 1. Let's see how things change, okay? Remember, I told you it's not going to be exactly the same. Duplication of DNA and centrioles, that's the same. Spindles form, that's the same. Metaphase 1, line up in microtubules attached to separate homologous pairs. Do you see what I'm saying here? Instead of taking the X's and pulling them apart, it's taking a whole X going this way and a whole X going that way. It totally makes sense, right? Because I'm going to eventually separate those. That's how we can have all that variation in the DNA. It's very cool. Okay, so we're taking that X this way, that X this way, and then we'll divide the X's. Right? Then we'll divide those X's. Okay, that's different right there. Okay, anaphase 1, pairs pull apart. That's different right there. Pairs are pulling apart. Do you see does everybody see the difference?
Yeah.
You sure you see the difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I believe Sugi sees the difference. Okay, alright. In telophase 1, plasma membrane constricts. There are 2 haploid cells still attached to the duplicate. So they're haploid cells with X's inside of them. And now those are going to be pulled apart. Okay? Here we go. Prophase 1. We're going to see them all duplicated. That's normal. Metaphase 1, notice here how the X's completely pull one to one side, the other to the other side, the whole X. And then I can telophase 1, they're all going to be sitting there kind of in a group of 2 cells right there. Okay, cytokinesis, it says cytokinesis is taking place. But then we have to go to part 2 now. Prophase 2, we're back to P here. The centrioles duplicate now and they move. Now we're going to see it's going to look a lot like we're jumping back to mitosis, okay? Then the chromosomes light on the equatorial plane. That sounds familiar. Then microtubules pull the chromosomes away from their duplicates, and plasma membranes constrict and nuclei form, resulting in 4 haploid cells. That's the bottom line. Here it is. Prophase 2, metaphase 2. This looks just like mitosis, doesn't it? Anaphase 2, telophase 2, and there we go.
So in phase 2, it does split it.
It does. It splits it, but then because there's only the one X, it ends up with just only the half there. That's it. It only has half the amount in the cell over there. You see, it only has the half of it right there instead of the whole thing. Okay, so here we go. What's formed at the end of meiosis 1 and meiosis 2? This is the bottom line, y'all. Bottom line. We have 2 haploid cells. The males are making 4 haploid gametes called sperm cells. And I don't understand how this chart works. They still have duplicate chromosomes. The females have 4 egg cells, but only one of them is a functional egg cell. The other 3 are called polar bodies. That's only because one of the 4 cells steals all of the cytoplasm to get really large. In fact, the female egg cell is one of the largest cells in the body, and the male sperm cell is one of the tiniest cells in the body. So, I'm not sure. Are some of these words written for you already?
No.
None of them?
You have to write all of them.
Okay, I'm not sure why I'm still saying still have duplicate chromosomes. Oh, okay, this is meiosis 1, this is meiosis 2. That makes sense. I just didn't put the heading at the top. Yes, do you have the heading at the top? Yes.
No.
Which
Are
one?
there genes that are only like one atom? Like just one, like
What?
pick up one atom? Like,
Would you say are there any beings?
like any like
Living
cells.
things.
Like
Living
any
things?
cell.
There are things that are one cell, but not one atom.
Like what is the smallest thing?
Maybe an atom of hydrogen.
Well, like not like smallest living thing. like a
Smallest
cell.
living thing would be a single cell organism like an amoeba, something like that. But it's got lots of atoms in it. Millions of atoms, even in a single
Russian.
cell. I mean, there's some bacteria that are single cell that are really, really small. Okay, how we doing?
I'm almost there.
Okay.
Gotta be able to read it.
Your own writing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't wanna write really fast, cause then I
I
can't.
will wait.
Well, if you wanna be a doctor, you gotta write that.
I will wait.
Stare at him
It's the doctor
until he's
thing.
stopped.
Oh yeah? Let me go be a doctor.
Alright, we good?
I tried to write my name.
Watch a video.
Today, but I
Y'all ready to pay
failed.
attention?
It's important that you understand the difference between mitosis and meiosis. Although they look similar, the results are drastically different. Prophase 1 of meiosis looks a lot like prophase of mitosis. Because the chromosomes duplicate, they move towards the equatorial plane, and the spindle does form. In metaphase 1 of meiosis, however, the chromosomes line up on the equatorial plane according to their homologous pairs. Because of this, in anaphase 1 of meiosis, the duplicate chromosomes are not separated from the originals. Instead, the homologous pairs are broken up.
Excellent.
One member of each homologous pair goes to one side of the cell, and the other member goes to the other side. As telophase 1 then separates the cell into 2, we end up having 2 cells, each of which has only one member of each homologous pair. That means each of these cells only has half the number of normal chromosomes. These chromosomes are duplicated, however, so those duplicates need to be separated from the original. That's what happens in meiosis 2. Since the job of meiosis II is to separate the original chromosomes from their duplicates, it looks a lot like mitosis. The spindle forms, the chromosomes line up on the equatorial plane, and the duplicates and originals are separated. This happens for each cell that was made in meiosis I. So in the end, we now have a total of 4 cells, each of which have only half the normal number of chromosomes, and those chromosomes are not duplicated.
All right. So mitosis versus meiosis. At the end of mitosis, there are 2 diploid identical cells. That's showing right here on the right. And in meiosis, there are 4 haploid gametes.
I don't think we read that down here.
That's the bottom line. What's the question?
Well, I don't think we read that down anymore.
No, you don't. Okay, this is just summing it up. If I ask you what's the difference, right, you're going to say at the end of mitosis, how many cells do we have? Mitosis?
Oh.
4.
Two.
Mitosis?
2.
At the end of meiosis?
4.
4.
That's gotta be
So,
You're
Yes.
correct.
so whenever my body does it, it's called mitosis. But when yours, it's called yortosis. Right?
No.
What is
No. No.
Mitosis.
Yeah,
All right.
my toes are just duplicating.
It's time for lab, y'all. And what we're going to do is there a spot in your book to draw the phases of mitosis?
Of an aluminium onion root.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to extract some DNA, and while we're waiting, there's a stage of the time when we're doing the extraction that we have to wait, like 10 minutes or something. During that time, I'll have you draw the stages, and I'm just going to have you draw that, okay?
Okay.
When it comes time.
Alright, I'll
All
draw
right,
that
the
right now.
stages, mother cell in here like this, okay?
Is it
But
possible to transfer DNA to another human being?
Yes.
sure,
No,
yeah.
they
You
do
just-
that- don't
feed
they do
them
that
your
medically?
Well, it
hair.
depends on what it is. You can give them
Don't they do that
a bone
medically?
marrow transplant. That's the DNA going to them. It's
No,
usually they
sorry,
try to
I
use
mean
stem cell.
Genes.
Like, yeah.
Like traits. Is it possible to give traits to somebody?
It's apart
I mean,
from
if you
sexual
get
reproduction,
birth
it's
control.
more difficult. Right? You gotta actually splice it into a gene. Like for instance, have you heard of this thing called CRISPR? You know what I'm talking about? CRISPR. Has anybody heard of that? Well, they introduce a gene into a chromosome, and it makes, like for instance, let's say a corn plant. They can introduce a gene and then have it reproduce, and that corn plant will be taller, make a longer corn
Strawberry and
or
egg.
something like that. Somebody told me at one time that there was one of the genes spliced into like peas, I think, was from a human.
I will wait.
All right. So that we splice a gene from a human into peas. If we eat peas, are we eating human DNA? That's what the question was. Yeah.
So, if you were to, okay, never mind, I forgot what I was
All right.
saying.
Okay.
I lost brain cells.
So